All right. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Quick recap Saturday's game. My opinion after watching tape, not much different from what I saw on Saturday. I mean, I thought some young players really did a good job elevating their status in our program. Got some opportunities where guys could get in there and do some things that they haven't had a chance to do yet, and they didn't miss their moment. Plenty of guys played, got their feet wet, and was really pleased by the production that those young men had. The MVPs in the game, Bryson Hammer and special teams did a great job handling the punts and did a good job flipping the field for us a few times with good returns. And that unit, I think, took a step forward as well. Sherm, obviously, on defense had a big game. 4 tackles for loss, one tackle for loss away from the school record. I thought he was really, really good, both in a blitz game and then also, playing his role and doing what he needs to do that way. And then, Ethan Spoth was our MVP on offense, and the offensive line sometimes is, there's not statistics to back that up, but he graded out really high, and he's been a consistent player for us all year last year and then certainly to these first 3 games so far. So those are the MVPs. Lots of guys played really, really well, like I said, and some key moments in that game. To be able to get our backup quarterback a 2-minute drill at the end of the second quarter I thought was big. Caleb Osborne played a lot in the second half and, maybe got a glimpse of what he can be and some good tape to go watch. So lots of positives come out of that. Turn our focus to Western Michigan. Got to go do what I think is the hardest thing to do in college sports is to go win conference road games. Got to handle the trip, which is it's not ideal, and go handle the environment there of what Waldo Stadium is going to provide, and hopefully our team takes the next step and has a great week of practice to prep for this.
What are some areas you feel like through 3 games now, entering the conference season that still need tightened up or need addressed?
Well, I mean, I think that our consistency everywhere is a constant. That. The inconsistencies are just a threat to your success in all phases at all times. And, some guys played against a really good player on Saturday individually. It wasn't a great overall team that we played, but, in reality, 1 or 2 players might have played against the best player they're going to play against all year, and that's what college football is. So I think just the consistency and the routine of leading up to the game, what that's going to look like, your emotional level for what Kentucky may look like versus maybe what, this past Saturday looked like. Where are the things that we can be really, concrete and consistent on, which will allow you to play consistent. So, I think we got to continue to find ways to creatively run the football. We got to find ways to creatively push the ball down the field. We got to find ways to creatively create havoc and pressure on the quarterback and then disrupt the other team's run game. And I think if you'd asked me that same question in January, I'd give you the same answer. So, it's just here in a 7-day window each and every week, and you got to reproduce each Saturday.
How happy are you with explosive plays so far this season? That was one thing that kind of diminished significantly last year.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about the rushing statistic, but you're right. I mean, that's part of it. And being able to consistently run it then allows you to throw it better. Everybody. I talk about this a lot in recruiting. There's a lot of different offensive systems out there. You got the air raid, and you want to throw it 60 times a game, and then you got these guys that want to play in these wide splits all the time. And then you got option football, and everything in between. What you are and what you develop and how that works for you has to be what your players can do and what they can do at a high level when given the opportunity. So I think our coaching staff has done a good job through the first couple of weeks here of finding ways to put players in position where they can get them. And then ultimately you have to have, players that can win one-on-ones, and we do. So, great to have those explosive plays back in the mix, and hopefully we got many more of them to come here.
And then how beneficial the Morgan State game is? I mean, you played probably maybe 90 guys. A lot of guys obviously played. Some of those guys might not be playing in crunch time of a meaningful game, but to get all those guys, so many players,
yeah.
How beneficial is it?
Well, planned or unplanned, we got scenarios Saturday where a starter is playing with a 2, or in some cases maybe a 3. A lot of times those guys don't communicate together in 11-on-11 reps. Maybe early in preseason camp when we split practices and we got different guys working with other players, but as you start to get closer and closer to game 1, those opportunities diminish and they go away. So to see those opportunities show up, us to handle them well, lets you know that the young players are paying attention. They are taking a serious approach to their own individual learning. And, in a one-game snapshot, they didn't miss their moment Saturday. And if you happen to get injuries, which we know those are going to come at some point in time, can you count on those guys not to miss that moment at what really matters? And that's what ultimately will define our season, I think.
Jason, to kind of piggyback off that, obviously you see all these guys in practice, but to see them get that opportunity and succeed on gameplay and in real time, just how much more exciting is that for you to see the guys who don't, get that playing time to see that happen on Saturday?
Yeah, they've earned the right to play. We're not putting anybody out there in a charity case here. Like, these guys have earned the right to do this and to go. And if I felt like you hadn't practiced well enough to do it, I wouldn't have put you in. So I think that, to take a game plan, right? Like take Caleb for instance. Like we plan to play Caleb anyways, right? A little bit to get him some experience. Here's 4 or 5 things that we're going to put into plan for you, and then that turns into 2 quarters plus, right? So then there's things that you didn't plan on that he shows up and he's got to do and he's got to go operate. Well, that happens on the D-line. That happens on the O-line. That happens at the linebacker. That happens at tight end. Maybe it's not as visibly noticed and it's not as focused on as maybe what the quarterback is, but those scenarios showed up and some guys did really, really well, some guys didn't. But the reality of it is you get a chance to go watch the videotape and fix the mistakes. So part of growing your program, part of growing your team, and happy that we were able to create some of those opportunities.
Yeah, the complementary football these past 2 weeks has been impressive. Is that kind of the blueprint that you guys are looking to do every week? It's just a matter of executing it?
I think it's the blueprint everybody's looking for. It's just really hard to do. It's hard to be really good in the kicking game, hard to be really good on defense, hard to be really good on offense. And, when those things start to, roll back to back to back, you can start to see where that's the difference between a 3-point quarter and a 43-point quarter, right? I mean, complementary football where it's just a constant applied pressure. You got to punt the ball out of your own 2-yard line. You kick the ball past the 50. You feel like you can breathe a little bit while that ball's in the air because you see your punter hit this massive punt, and next thing you know, the punt returner returns it back to the 30-yard line. That's just in 2 plays earlier, you're scoring offense. So you want it, those windows of opportunity, like in today's college football, you can't miss those. And last couple of weeks, our guys have really taken advantage of them, and we missed some of them against Kentucky.
And then the balance obviously has been tremendous the past couple of weeks as well on offense, rushing and passing. Just how impactful is that to be able to have that balance each and every week?
Well, I mean, our guys are executing at a level that would allow us to do so. Is that always the case? Is that always going to be the case? It's not. But it's been fun to get into a little bit of a rhythm there, and our guys have been able to be in favorable looks from time to time, from good communication, and when that happens, you get a chance to make some of those plays.
And you mentioned at the top how challenging an opening conference on the road game can be. What will make that a challenge, for any program to start the opening conference play?
Well, when you go on the road in the MAC, you don't go to stay at the Ritz-Carlton and fly on a Delta jet to go do so. You handle a trip that's a bus trip that you leave in the middle of the afternoon. You go stay nowhere near the stadium, and you get up and you go play the game the next day. So that's what it is, and you play it whatever time they tell you 10 days before the game starts. So it is what it is. You got to handle the details and handle what that looks like, and focus on what you got to focus on during the week. And and again, it's on the road, and these guys have had a tough schedule to start out. I mean, they didn't. They don't have any favors handed to them to their first 3 games. So I'm sure they're looking forward to being back in their home stadium, and playing a quality team. And we are looking forward to going on the road and playing a quality team. I think they're a better team than what their record indicates. They do a lot of things really, really sound. They're well coached in a lot of ways. And you don't come prepared to play here, you're going to get beat. That's just how it goes.
The players you recruit and yourself, even keel leadership, how big of a momentum swing going from Kentucky, going to Morgan State, and now back on the road, going to MAC play? How big is your leadership role, and the seniors you have in that room gonna take this week to heart?
Well, I mean, our first conference road game last year was Buffalo, and we got hit right in our nose. We lost up there in 22. I think we lost. Was that 18, Paul? Maybe the
3 times there.
Thanks for reminding me. So we haven't played well there in recent years. So there's plenty of motivation to handle that part of it. But I think it all goes back to how quickly you can reset your week after the previous game. Whether you're the emotional highs and there's the truth is somewhere in between. Can you stay consistent with your approach, and can you go have really good practices? The team that practices the best this week will probably win the game. That's just how it goes. That's today's college football.
Not like you try harder or less in but is it different, like in the building, once like MAC play starts and you have coverage team?
No, not really. I mean, I think our guys they all count as one, you know what I mean? And you want to try to, in a 7-day window, you want to try to get the best plan you can to go play and play well. And the guys are fighting like crazy to handle all their responsibilities so when they can go to the practice field, they can practice freely and put together a good plan and go execute a good plan. That's just what the challenges are in front of us.